Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems that shape our world. Today, we're diving deep into the system of influence, drawing heavily from the foundational work of Robert Cialdini. So, let's start with a really fundamental question, one that's right at the heart of Cialdini's work. Why do we say yes? The answer, it turns out, reveals this hidden architecture that powerfully shapes our decisions every single day. To get why, you first have to look at the environment we're all operating in. Cialdini describes modern life as an avalanche of choice and an explosion of information. And to cope with all that, our minds have developed this adaptive and, frankly, absolutely necessary response. This isn't some bug in our programming. It's a feature of our psychology. We live in what Cialdini calls an automatic age. To navigate this decision-overloaded world, we have to rely on mental shortcuts. We just don't have the time or the mental bandwidth to sit and analyze every single choice that comes our way. This whole system works through what social psychologists call shortcut responding. Basically, we save our time, our energy, and our mental capacity by reacting to a single, reliable piece of information, a trigger, instead of trying to process the total picture. And look, this isn't about being lazy. It's all about being efficient. As the philosopher Alfred North Whitehead pointed out, this kind of automation is the very foundation of progress. We build complex societies by making the basic stuff automatic. So how is this system structured? How can we actually visualize these mental shortcuts we use in our social interactions? While the most effective way to picture this system is with a specific metaphor. Think of a user interface shortcut bar, like in a software program, but for our social decisions. Our mind uses this toolset to quickly process the world and decide yes or no. This bar is loaded up with buttons that represent these incredibly powerful psychological principles: reciprocation, social proof, authority, liking, scarcity, commitment, and unity. Each one is a trigger that can prompt an automatic yes from us. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. This system isn't just some accidental feature of our minds. It's actively cultivated and scaled. And now we're going to explore why. The core incentive that drives this whole thing is scalability. Persuaders and institutions. We're talking everyone from advertisers to political campaigns to e-commerce platforms. They need methods that work efficiently and predictably on huge groups of people. And automated cues are absolutely perfect for this. Cialdini calls the people who operate this system compliance practitioners. These are the experts who know exactly where the levers of automatic influence are, and they know that triggering an automatic response is way more efficient and scalable than trying to engage thousands of people in reasoned arguments. So, this system builds toward predictable outcomes. An environment that's optimized for shortcuts doesn't produce random results. No. Instead, it generates various specific, predictable behaviors. Things like rapid, almost unthinking commitments, a seriously miscalibrated confidence in our choices, and these standardized persuasion scripts that institutions are just constantly optimizing. Let's just dig into one of those for a second. After we make a decision, especially a quick one, a psychological pressure starts to build. It pushes us to feel more confident about it, to justify the commitment we just made. A classic study on horse racing illustrates this perfectly. Bettors become way more confident in their horse's chances of winning after they've placed a bet, not before. The odds haven't changed, the horse hasn't changed, the only thing that's different is the commitment, and that commitment literally alters their perception. And this is exactly how the system persists and grows. The tactics that generate those fast, confident yeses get rewarded. So they get repeated, they get refined, and eventually they just get codified into the standard operating procedures of an organization. This brings us to a really core analytical idea: how we interpret our interactions with these increasingly sophisticated systems. When we encounter these optimized systems and we say yes to something we later regret, how we interpret that moment is crucial. Do we see it as a personal failure? I was fooled, that was my mistake? Or do we see it as a systemic interaction? I just navigated an optimized environment. The crisis in perception, then, is misreading a systemic interaction as a personal failing. It's when we blame our own psychology instead of recognizing the highly engineered compliance environment we're actually in. To end this, let's zoom out and connect this system of influence to the larger world it operates in, because it really does not exist in a vacuum. This system is deeply interconnected with the modern attention economy, which creates the cognitive overload that makes shortcuts necessary in the first place. It's fueled by intense market competition, which rewards the most efficient persuaders, and it relies on organizational legitimacy to power principles like authority and to normalize all these practices.
And this raises a final, vital question. Seeing the system clearly isn't about becoming cynical or paranoid. It's about developing the structural clarity we need to effectively navigate a world that is increasingly designed to get an automatic yes from us.
Crisis in Perception examines how systems shape belief and how better tools help us see clearly. This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon. For a longer, audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description. If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.